So how I got into at least the genital illustrations was honestly, it was my best friend and I years ago would just kind of like mess around with each other and draw these little dicks and hide them in the house. And whether our parents found it or not was the funny part. But it was like a good humor snack. Like I'm having a bad day and I was like opening this book and then I see this big penis fall out. And I'm like, guys. I'm Vanessa Tejada, and I am a resident of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I was originally from Dominican Republic, and my whole extended family's from there, but we moved here to the States when I was a child. As far as what I like to do and what made me the person that I am today is definitely a lot of artistic influence. My mom was an illustrator, but as a child, I saw that she had to feed us and take care of us and pay the bills. So she kind of sacrificed her creative endeavors to work for like a factory job. But she raised us to be like free thinkers and to encourage us to be what we wanted to be. So I felt very empowered by my mom. So a lot of feminism and independence came from her. So I was just like, fuck it, I'll just illustrate weird things and continue to be a weird person, and I'll find weird people my own way. And I really am digging the ride, so yeah. Is this okay? How I got into at least the genital illustrations was honestly, it was my best friend and I years ago would just kind of like mess around with each other and draw these little dicks and hide them in the house. And whether our parents found it or not was the funny part. But it was like a good humor snack. Like I'm having a bad day and I was like opening this book and then I see this big penis fall out and I'm like, guys. So I really wanted to share that humor with other people. And so far it has been really like flourishing in its own way. I wouldn't say that I'm popular from it at that much, but I feel really humbled that a lot of people come up to me and they're like, I really like your illustrations. They're so funny. I like how you portray food into like a vulva blossoming an avocado thing. I don't know. They get kind of ridiculous. I feel like I should be doing acid when I'm making them, but I'm not. I'm sober when I make these. So a lot of that has been inspired through like humor and friendships and just kind of like sex is a huge subject, obviously, and just kind of like two components that humans need the most is to nourish their bodies, which is food, and creature comfort, which is sex. So those things I wanted to collaborate together so people can resonate with it, because a lot of art is really abstract and subjective and they really can't connect. But with this, when they look at it immediately, it's really freaking funny. And then the initial reaction is a laughter, and that's what I want. As far as the fetish stuff and me being a department buyer at Passionelle Boutique, I kind of just fell into it because I was really involved in the BDSM community at a really young age. Not underage, 18 of course. But it was definitely a thing where a friend recommended a friend and a friend. And so I did a little bit of like doming, just between people that we trusted and whatnot. And obviously consent is a huge thing. And being safe and knowing safe words and exercising, all that safety was a huge priority to me. And then I found Passionelle because someone was like, hey, look, this place does class coordinations. They educate the community about all of the safety grounds of BDSM and fetish and kink. It's LGBTQIA plus inclusive, and it was just a thing that I was like, this is heaven. Let me be a part of this community. So in a bigger way, and I feel like having clothing that's empowering individuals to dress real sexy and feel comfortable in their sexuality was something I wanted to be a part of as well, which resonates with the illustrations as well. So I definitely got into it that way. And I felt really good. I like making people feel great when they walk out. I know they're gonna get laid, so that's even better. And it's fun all around, and coordinating the fashion shows and including like different bodies and ethnicities and skin complexions, all these things. It brings like a really, humanity together that I'm really happy to be a part of. So, yeah. So I want to say like what was my inspiration. I mean, there's several inspirations besides like everyday life. People that you run into, people's stories, their sex endeavors, their favorite snacks, like things like that definitely fueled the illustrations. But what inspired me most was empowered femmes like Peaches. Meryl was a big deal to me when I was a kid. My best friend introduced me to Fuck the Pain Away, which was like really interesting how that was made. I'm sure you can look that up. And then years later, I started to kind of get the rhythm of like drawing weird stuff and not giving a fuck what people thought about it, which is really, really empowering because people always want to tell you what to do and how to be. So when you can just be like boo back, it's like, whoa, I can get away with it, So that's pretty great. And I want to say that other illustrators started to really like fall into my lap when I started this social media Instagram. It opened a door to a whole new plethora of like just a buffet of different weird artists. A few of them, I want to name a few. Ghost in My Ramen, he does these really great feminist zines. A lot about how people are so used to being shamed for having like periods, menstrual cycles, hairy bodies, trans bodies, like they're continuously shamed by society, but he empowers them through the zine and just tells them like, you know what, fuck it, it's whatever, it's your body, it's good, it's doing a great job. And then there's Nana Porcelain, who draws like these really feminine, weird like cat creatures. They're all elongated. I don't know, it's kind of like a vacation. Like I'll take away my weird genital drawings and look at her stuff and be like, oh, that's really pretty. And obviously like Audrey Kawasaki, she does these really like porcelain-like feminine bodies that I like to look at. A lot of it involves bodies, obviously. That's the theme. And definitely just kind of like, I don't know, past relationships have been a huge inspiration, I want to say, whether they're good or bad. They definitely became my muses for some of my, I want to say like more abstract drawings, just because that's something that has touched me personally, obviously. So it's going to obviously convey through artwork, and it's the only way you can communicate it, because no one's going to really understand when you tell your side of the story until you draw it, and then they'll take their own slice of it away. So yeah, I feel like that's an appropriate answer. So I want to say my favorite film, at least for film and music, all kind of fluctuate in how you're feeling at the moment. I've been into a lot of downer stuff, but it's very real. I definitely like Don Hertzfeldt. Gosh, I'm butchering the name. But It's Such a Beautiful Day is an animated film that he made. It has to do with this main character who is just kind of going through his own personal strife and stresses of everyday life, and it's everyday activity is really demanding to him, and he doesn't know why, and he has like these really sharp pains inside, and he can't really like access it and understand the answers. So I don't know, it definitely resonated with me, because there was like periods and pockets of my life where I felt really lost and I didn't know what to do with myself, and everyone around me was moving very fast and I felt very stagnant. So that movie really comes to mind pretty quickly when, I kind of get into like my depressive zone. I tap that film and I watch it, and it's actually pretty inspiring. Or I just like to watch it when I'm having a downer day. It's something that I definitely go back to. And I like that it's animated all the way through. There's no live actors or anything of that sort. So that, to me, as an illustrator, is something that I want to see more of. Especially in 2016, you don't see too many straight up animated films that is just black and gray line art illustration and has taken quite a lot of attention from people. So I like that a lot. If I could collaborate with anyone, which is a really hard question. I would definitely collaborate with an artist called Polynor. She's known to be an artist that was featured in the New York Times, illustrating this demon coming out of like this woman's body and just like smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer, and literally just so cash. She was just like, when you get to go home and finally be in your skin and be true to who you are. Because you put up this fake meat suit when you go outside every day of your home to like, hey, how's it going? But really you don't want to talk to anybody. You just want to go to work or do what you have to do. Everyday demand is kind of becoming more and more demanding. Her illustrations really convey that. And I feel like she has the same kind of nihilistic humor as I do. You know, especially like pushing the mold as a female artist is a big deal because it's very male dominated, as most things are. So it would be, I think we would be a cool power femme duo. I don't know, just drawing some dicks and then she's drawing some devils and just put those things together. We both pay a lot of homage to line art, so I feel like that would mingle in really well. I don't know, I get really excited thinking about her. So I think we would do a great collaboration. My favorite musician at the moment, and has been for quite some time, is Peaches. Definitely because she is super loud and aggressive and fantastic with her sexuality, how she touches base with like being a queer woman and celebrate sexuality. I've listened to her since I was a teenager. I think I elaborated earlier that my best friend introduced me to her music, and I'm so thankful for it because it's so weird, it's so loud, it's so like futuristic and edgy, if that's a word to use. So I would say a lot of her sexuality songs are something that can tap into like this strange inspiration that you feel fearless. You don't really have to have any walls to be confined in, as most artists sometimes are their worst critics. You kind of like look for other music to inspire something new. I feel like Peaches is something that I'll always constantly go back to because she's just so weird. She has like these incredible like wardrobe costumes. She had a titty suit. It was just all tits. She had this insane like big dick cross for Fatherfucker. Those are just like some of my favorite songs and some of my favorite things that she's done on stage. I like met her briefly at TLA. I was fangirling really hard. So I don't know. She's just something that I can like get goosebumps with every time I like think about her or, you know, hear her music or see her face in some kind of like article online or whatever. So yeah, she's definitely one of my favorites for sure. If there was like any advice I could give to people who are just starting out with whatever creative endeavor they have, me as an illustrator, I didn't really see it going this big. I just literally reached out to people that I felt like would share the same humor and sense of style as I did, and it really did pay off. I feel fortunate in so many ways and humbled in so many ways. Just literally keep doing the shit that you feel the best with. When you feel good and you feel really like happy to share something that you're working on with someone, they immediately feel that vibe. If you feel awkward, I mean, you know, I honestly feel awkward all the time, but I'm always excited to show them something really funny. With that excitement comes that vibe, and those people feed off of it. So they really do remember your personality, your enthusiasm, and your honesty. Those are things that you should always stick true and tried with, because without those, I feel like, you know, you're just kind of another person handing a resume or something. And, you know, don't be scared to be weird. Don't be scared to push the envelope. I know it seems frightening because you feel like, you know, well, I want this many followers on Instagram or something. It doesn't matter. Like, I didn't anticipate to have 1,000 a year. So those are things that I felt really humbled when I saw it. And I just kept being weird. Like, I didn't give a shit. So you're going to have a lot of people try to push you down. Like, they are gonna boo you for trying to be happy and super stoked on what you're doing with life, but you know, fuck them. They're not there to like encourage you. So why keep them there? And don't keep them in your mind, because that's something that's really toxic too. And it will hinder your, artwork and your creativity. So those are things that I would tell people if they're starting off, like, what should I do? Well, fuck it and just do whatever you want. But obviously be respectful and mindful towards others. And, definitely reach out and ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask your favorite artist for, how did you draw that really cool, like, line art piece? Or how did you get that paint to look that certain way? And they won't answer you right away, obviously, but sometimes you'll be shocked at the response that you get. And it's really, like, empowering. So I would definitely say that. Should I stop? So where you can find me online is Creature Rhythm at Instagram. I'm also on Behance. It's super outdated now, but whatever. It's VANESSA TEJADA. And if you are in the neighborhood, perhaps South Street, I am the buyer at Passional Boutique. I'm usually there a few days a week. If you just want to stop by and say hi, I could let you dress up into any kind of latex outfit you like, or leather, whatever. You can just tap into that side for a little bit. So yeah, this is just me telling you where I'm at on the social platforms. And you know what? Always stay better, don't be bitter. So that's just how life goes. Cool. Yay! Oh my god!